California once promised the fastest, cleanest train in America, connecting San Francisco to Los Angeles in under 3 hours for $33 billion. 16 years and billions of dollars later, the project is nowhere near finished, plagued by delays, skyrocketing costs, and political chaos. But the most recent setbacks have pushed this high-speed dream even closer to collapse. How did a vision for progress become such an expensive disaster? The answers begin with the grand promises that won over California's voters. In November 2008, California voters cast their ballots in favor of Proposition 1A, approving nearly $10 billion in bonds to launch what was promised as America's first true high-speed rail system. This was presented as a grand vision for the future of transportation, a promise of bold change. The campaign filled airwaves and mailboxes with images of sleek trains racing across Golden Hills, promising a new era of travel that would connect San Francisco and Los Angeles in less time than a flight. The appeal was simple and powerful, fast and clean, a solution to congestion, pollution, and long commutes. Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger declared that this is the beginning of a new era in transportation for California. Behind the scenes, legislative leaders like Fabian Nunez and Don Peralta navigated complex negotiations, bringing together labor unions, environmental groups, and business coalitions to build a winning coalition. The bond measures language painted a picture of fast, clean, and efficient travel, an answer to gridlock and pollution, and a symbol of California's ambition. On election night, supporters celebrated what felt like a mandate for progress. Voters had given their blessing to a vision that seemed both bold and inevitable. Every morning, millions of Californians crawl through clogged freeways, inching past endless brake lights from the Bay Area to Los Angeles. Commutes that should take an hour stretch into 2 or more. On the state's busiest corridors, traffic jams have become routine, not just at rush hour, but at nearly every hour. Meanwhile, airports such as LAX and SFO are packed with travelers squeezed onto short-haul flights, straining terminals that are already operating near capacity. The consequences ripple far beyond lost time and frayed nerves. According to state transportation studies, traffic delays alone drain an estimated $10 billion from California's economy every year. Wasted fuel, missed appointments, freight stuck in gridlock. For families, it means less time at home. For businesses, it means late shipments and higher costs. Air pollution from idling cars and crowded runways adds to the toll, pushing emissions higher even as the state sets ambitious climate goals. The need for a faster, cleaner way to move people up and down California has never been more urgent. The California High-Speed Rail Authority set out with numbers that captured the public imagination. Planners announced a price tag of $33 billion to connect San Francisco and Los Angeles, and they promised the system would be up and running by 2020. Official documents described a vision of sleek trains racing across the state at 220 miles per hour, slashing travel times and competing with air travel. Early blueprints mapped a direct route with stops in the Central Valley, and a schedule that left little room for doubt. A new era of transportation delivered within a decade at a cost that seemed bold but manageable. These commitments became the foundation for every public hearing, press conference, and campaign promise. Timelines and budgets were printed on glossy brochures, displayed in public meetings, and cited by lawmakers eager to show progress. For many, these numbers were more than just projections. They were the baseline against which every future step would be measured. Those promises on paper created expectations and pressure that would shape every decision that followed. In the heart of California's Central Valley, engineers confronted a landscape that refused to cooperate. Beneath the surface, layers of soft, saturated soil and a high water table posed immediate threats to stability. Standard rail beds, shallow compacted earth, simply could not handle the weight and speed of high-speed trains. To avoid the risk of tracks sinking or shifting, crews drove steel-reinforced piles deep into the ground, sometimes reaching 40 meters before hitting solid footing. These foundations, essential for safety, multiplied costs and extended schedules far beyond original plans. Crossing the San Joaquin River and the California Aqueduct added another layer of complexity. Each crossing required elevated viaducts engineered to withstand both floods and earthquakes. The Hanford and Fresno River viaducts alone required thousands of tons of concrete and steel, with every pier tested for seismic resilience. Change orders became routine as contractors discovered unexpected clay pockets, shifting sand, or buried water lines not shown on utility maps. Geotechnical experts warned that every unknown beneath the surface could trigger new delays. The ground itself became a powerful, unpredictable adversary, turning what looked like a straight path on paper into a series of technical battles. Each battle drove the project's costs higher and pushed back key milestones, creating cascading delays that multiplied the project's challenges. At the edge of the Central Valley, the high-speed rail line faces its greatest technical gamble. Tunneling through Pacheco Pass links Gilroy to the valley, and it is not just a route, it is a gauntlet of seismic faults and unpredictable geology. Engineers studying the corridor have mapped a web of active and dormant fault lines, each one a potential threat to tunnel stability. The terrain is riddled with fractured rock, shifting serpentining, and pockets where groundwater can surge without warning. Even after years of surveys, no one can say for certain what crews will find once boring machines start to carve the 12-mile passage. The seismic risks alone require a tunnel with flexible joints, continuous monitoring systems, and backup plans for ground movement, designs that carry a hefty price tag. Without a complete geological profile, contractors have been forced to add steep contingency costs, sometimes as high as 40%, to cover the unknown. For the Rail Authority, every unanswered question beneath Pacheco Pass is another reason the budget keeps climbing, and why the project's future hinges on what lies underground. Cost estimates for California's high-speed rail have ballooned far beyond what was promised to voters. By 2025, the official price tag for the project stands between $77 billion and $100 billion, more than double the original projection. Costs have outpaced expectations and political patience. The Central Valley segment alone has absorbed billions of dollars, with overruns fueled by unforeseen engineering demands and relentless change orders. Overruns piled up faster than planners anticipated. In February 2019, Governor Gavin Newsom stood before lawmakers and delivered a blunt assessment. He said the state would have to reset its expectations. He announced the project would focus on the Central Valley, acknowledging that the original vision was out of reach for now. The authority's board scrambled to revise budgets and timelines, while internal documents revealed mounting frustration among senior staff. Tensions with contractors boiled over as the Tudor Perini, Zachary Parsons joint venture filed formal payment disputes, citing delays and design changes that left invoices unpaid for months. Disputes moved from meeting rooms into legal filings. Arbitration notices and threat letters piled up, underscoring a breakdown in trust between builders and the state. Each new estimate and public dispute chipped away at the project's credibility, drawing the attention of federal agencies and casting fresh doubt on California's ability to deliver what it promised. Transit planners point to a future where high-speed rail could slash emissions and create thousands of new jobs. They cite projections showing the system would cut greenhouse gases by millions of tons and offer steady work for construction crews and skilled trades. Labor advocates describe the project as a rare chance to rebuild California's workforce with union jobs and lasting careers. Environmental groups argue that shifting travelers from cars and planes to electrified trains is essential for meeting the state's climate goals. But economists and fiscal watchdogs question whether the benefits will ever match the costs. They warn that even if the Central Valley segment opens, operating losses could drain public funds for decades. Independent reviews have found that ridership estimates are optimistic, while the price tag keeps rising. For critics, the rail line has become a cautionary tale, promising too much, delivering too little, and crowding out other priorities. The debate has settled into a standoff, with each side convinced the stakes could not be higher. On June 4, 2025, the Federal Railroad Administration delivered a 310-page report to the California High-Speed Rail Authority. The report outlined 9 major failures, including missed deadlines, budget overruns, inflated ridership projections, and a lack of organizational capacity. The letter notified the authority that $4 billion in federal grants were at risk of termination. The Federal Railroad Administration accused the project of defaulting on its agreements, pointing to years of delays and the absence of a single mile of high-speed track despite billions spent. Chief Executive Officer Ian Choudhury fired back with a formal rebuttal. He insisted the project was on schedule for passenger service by 2033, and that all environmental clearances were complete. The authority said that change orders had been necessary for safety, and that those costs were not paid with federal funds. Within days, the state filed a lawsuit to block the termination, calling the Federal Railroad Administration's move politically motivated. As the standoff escalated, contractors warned that any freeze in funding would threaten thousands of jobs and stall construction across the Central Valley. With billions on the line and legal briefs flying, the project's future now hangs by a thread. Today, California's high-speed rail stands as a cautionary tale. Vision alone can't replace accountability. With costs topping $35 billion and no completion date in sight, the stakes reach beyond one state. How we confront failure now will shape America's next generation of infrastructure. Share your thoughts below.